Hi again, everybody. It's Ken Iverson back in for Peace Day, back in Kent, Washington, USA, just outside of Seattle, southeast of Seattle by about 20 miles, 30 miles. I'm on Kent's East Hill, living in the Mardi Gras apartments, and that's public housing. That's furnished by our government, partially by our government, and also I'm on what's called SSI, a form of Social Security for disabled and blind and elderly people, and I qualify on all of those counts except being blind. I'm not blind, and I'm also on EBT, which is Electronic Benefits Transfer, which in my case is food stamps. I get $110 a month in food stamps, so I get $720 in SSI, and well, it's 674 in SSI, $46 from the state of Washington DSHS, Department of Social and Health Services, and then it's for the total of $720. That's my sole income, and then in addition to that, I have $110 in food stamps, EBT. I have a little card. I was going to show it to you. Let's see if I can find it here. I have a card, an EBT card. It's all done digitally, I guess you'd say, electronically. Here we go. Here's the card right here. I'll show it to you. This is what it's like in the United States here. There are people in large parts of the world who are not eating anything right now, today, and I'm eating well. I'm going to share that with you. I'm going to shame you Americans into giving money to Pakistan flood relief or whatever. This is my EBT card right there. You see that? Washington State EBT Quest, and that's all done electronically. I swipe that at my supermarket, and they deduct the amount of the food I bought, and that's kept electronically. I can phone into a 888 number on the back of this card and find out how much I have left on my card. I have $110. It usually lasts me a couple of weeks, and then the rest of my food must come out of my check, my $720. Now, I mentioned that there are people in parts of the world right now, as we speak, who are going hungry, and they've been going hungry for months now, and they're dying of starvation. And that's in Pakistan. Pakistan flood relief. 20 million were displaced, and 8 million of them are homeless, and they're dying right now of starvation and exposure and dehydration and diphtheria and cholera. And you hear about cholera in Haiti, but you don't hear about it in Pakistan. They're dying of, you name it, and they're dying of it. These people are 20 million. That's more than Haiti, that's more than Chile, that's more than China, and that's more than the tsunami combined. 20 million people were displaced. 8 million are homeless. And this was a poor country to begin with. And it's going from bad to worse. And it isn't improving. I don't think it's any secret that the government of Pakistan is at best incompetent, at worst corrupt. There's a site on Facebook. It says "We Hate Zardari." That's the president of Pakistan, and that's what some of the people think of him. And it's no secret. And yet we say militarily that Pakistan is one of our biggest allies in that part of the world because we're fighting across the border in Afghanistan, and we can't win for losing because the Taliban are on both sides. The Pashtuns are on both sides of the border in Afghanistan and in Pakistan, and they're related. And when we leave, the Taliban from Afghanistan and Pakistan will probably close ranks and take over that country. Karzai cannot exist without the American military. Now we pushed it back to 2014 is when we'll be leaving. And I say to you, you could push it back to 2050 and it's still not going to work. So anyway, that's just my opinion. You know what they say about opinions? They're like assholes. Everybody has one, and mine Mine is, take it for what it's worth. Take it for what it's worth. Uh, okay, I'm going to go on here, and I'm going to talk about food. And there's a method to my madness, and I'll get around to that in a minute here. Right now, I am eating pumpkin pie. On for the rest of you in the other parts of the world here, what do we got here? See, that's pumpkin pie. That's a traditional pie. It's a squash. Pumpkin is a squash, and we eat it at Thanksgiving and Christmas, and other times during the year. But primarily at Thanksgiving and Christmas, we have turkey, roast turkey, and ham. Sometimes some people have ham. Some people have lamb or pork shanks or pork loin or whatever. I don't know. I'm not a cook, so I don't cook it. But this is the pumpkin pie here, right here. I should show that to you. That's pumpkin pie. I'm gonna have some right now. That's so good. This is. I bought this. Mrs. Smith's pumpkin pie, right there. Doesn't that look good? Yep, Mrs. Smith. New, larger size. Everything in America is larger size these days, including food, pumpkin pies. You go to the fast food restaurants like McDonald's and Wendy's and Kentucky Fried Chicken, you can buy the super size. You go to 7-Eleven, you can buy the super-sized gulp, or whatever it's called. Everything is big. No wonder we're fat. But even at that, I want to say something about what's called the epidemic of obesity in the United States. Young people are overweight. About, I don't know what percentage of the population, well over 50% of the population is overweight. And I want to say that there's two industries in this country that are diametrically opposed to one another. One is the weight loss industry, and the other is the food industry. The fast food and the prepared food industry pays food engineers millions of dollars to come up with things that are tasty and that people can't stop eating, and that involves salt, sugar, and fat primarily, and they are paid millions of dollars to combine those three elements into foods that people can't put down. McDonald's fries, for example, McDonald's hamburgers, McDonald's fries, they spent millions of dollars in getting those so that you can't stop eating them. They use a particular type of fat, and they fry them in a particular way. And so in this country, we have the diet industry, Jenny Craig, and NUTRASYSTEM, and all of the diet pills, and God knows what. What is it? Weight Watchers, another one. Weight Watchers is a poor person's, but they're very expensive way to lose weight. I went through one called what was it? It's akin to Al-Anon and AA. Overeaters Anonymous. Overeaters Anonymous. They do practice the 12 steps like AA and Al-Anon. And I'm a member of Al-Anon, or I was a member of Al-Anon up until recently. And so we have people who are trying to get us to eat more, and then we have an industry which is trying to get us to eat less, and they're at odds with one another. And both of them involve big money. You can go into McDonald's or Wendy's or Kentucky, go into, and you can buy a meal that'll fill you up for $2 or $3, and you can't beat that. And poor people eat at McDonald's and that because it's cheap, because it's inexpensive. But you're getting a lot of fat, you're getting a lot of sugar, and you're getting a lot of what else? Salt. And one of the chief offenders is something my mother loves, and I love it too. I love the taste of it. It's Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC. And Kentucky Fried Chicken, the original recipe, is just loaded with calories and is loaded with fat and cholesterol. My mother takes the skin off the chicken, the original recipe, to cut down on the calories and the fat. And I don't. I eat it that way. I don't eat it very often, but I do eat it occasionally. And so anyway, We have our nation where people are trying to make us fat. We're a nation where people are trying to make us thin, and we're a nation where we're obsessed. We're the only nation in the world, I would suppose, where we pay money for things that don't have any calories. In most parts of the world, they want calories. In America, you buy Diet Coke, or you buy Diet Pepsi, or you buy Diet whatever, and this is what this is big business in America. The diet industry and the food industry, the fast food industry, and I just mentioned some of them there. So anyway, that's what my talk on this. Women blame themselves, particularly women, men too, but particularly women blame themselves, and they're told by diet experts that it's their fault that they're fat, that they put on weight and they should push themselves away from the table. I heard this when I was growing up from my stepfather. He was obsessed with weight. He was overweight himself. You push yourself away from the table. You eat too much. You just got to say no. You eat less, exercise more, calories in, calories out. You got to count calories. I heard this when I was growing up, and this is nonsense. This is nonsense. It's a conspiracy. I don't believe in conspiracy theories generally, but it's a conspiracy to make us fat. The food engineer paid millions of dollars to make us fat, or to buy food, not to make us fat, to buy food that is tasty that we can't put down. I bought some Jimmy Dean. I knew better. I bought some Jimmy Dean breakfast on a stick. It was a sausage on a stick with batter around it, fried batter, and I had some of that. And it was delicious, and I couldn't put it down, and I knew about it. I saw Matt Lauer on the Today Show that morning talking about food engineers making us fat, or making us want to eat more and more and more, and I knew that, and yet I had a coupon, and I bought it, and I ate it, and I craved it for a couple of days after that, and I knew better. So I could have put on, I don't know, a number of pounds. As you see, I'm overweight the way it is, but there's a reason for that, which I'll go into one of these days. I was taking some medication. Then one of the side effects is weight gain, and so anyway, that's enough about food and that. And let me say, there's a slogan, and we're running up on time here. We've got about 2 minutes. Okay, here. There's a slogan in the United States that's in the dairy industry. It says "Got milk," and you can see that there. That's milk. And this with pumpkin pie is delicious. I'm gonna have some right now. I would bet there are people in some parts of the world who have never tasted milk. I don't know that for sure, but I'm betting there are. There are not very much milk. There are people, I mentioned in the last segment, there are people who don't eat, what do we got here? There are people who don't eat meat because they can't afford it, or they can't get it, or whatever. And so the Islamic relief organizations worldwide have a time of year where they accept contributions to buy meat for poor people throughout the world. And you can see here, I'm a sloppy eater. I eat a lot. You can probably tell that. Well, I don't eat as much now. I don't know whether you can see that there, but that is my bib. And you can see where it says there, Joyful Harvest. This is the joyful harvest. This is the harvest time of year in the Northern Hemisphere. This is in September, October, November is harvest time. And this is partly what, let's see how we're doing on time. We're just about out of time here. This is the time of year when we celebrate Thanksgiving. That was in thanks for the harvest. It was a thanks to, celebrated with the American Indians and Native Americans way back when, in the Pilgrims that came over in the 1700s from England. And this is the harvest. The thanks for the harvest is what it was. Thanksgiving for the harvest, because we have much food here in America, and we're very fortunate. We're very blessed in America. There are people who are starving right now, and some of them are in Pakistan. And I ask you to contribute to Pakistan flood relief, and I'll tell you how in those videos. And Anyway.